Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We got a lot to get into tonight, like Phil Kessel. Where will he be at the start of next season? We'll also talk about J.R. Smith and the Pittsburgh equivalent moment to that mental meltdown. We'll get into Steelers, OTAs, injuries, and no-shows. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Pirates, who are now just one game over 500, 6.5 out of first and in fourth place. Here's your panel left to right television screen. We got Tim Benz, columnist from the TribLive.com and Steelers Radio. Also in the middle, it's Andrew Fillipponi from the Cochran Pony Show 93.7 The Fan middays, and Paul Zeise from the Paul Zeise program and columnist with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. So, Tim, we'll get right into this. Pirates had a chance when they were 9 games over 500 to feast on San Diego and Cincinnati. They did not. So here they are now in fourth place. Is this the point of no return?
Yeah, this is the correction we were all assuming would happen, and it has occurred. I think optimists were hoping that it would last a little longer when they were playing better baseball early in the season, but I think you'll continue to see them falter down to the level of about the 75-win team that I thought they would be. The big reason for that being a lot of assumed strides have not taken place here, particularly with Taillon and Bell and Gregory Polanco. If the Pirates are going to be a contender, those guys are going to have to take next steps. They haven't. And then you've also got the regression of Vasquez and the regression of Nova as well.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it is, when you have a young team like the Pirates and you have a really young pitching staff and you're not very good defensively, I think it's, not a surprise that you go through these kind of stretches. I'll tell you the other thing is, every single year they seem to, at least the last few years, they go into the season saying, well, if this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens and that happens, we're going to be pretty good. The problem is it's unrealistic to think all of those things are going to happen. Some have. I mean, Dickerson and Moran have been pretty good. Some of the other stuff hasn't happened. So to me, they're a 78 to 81 win team. I said that at the start, and that's what I think they are.
Bob, your question was, is this the point of no return? Where was the point where people started to believe that they were good?
A lot of people did.
Well, hold on. You're surrounded by realists. You're not surrounded by optimists and the people that, the fringe 9,000 or 10,000 fans who go to every game, rain or shine, and want to just take in every single thing that the Pirates tell them, regurgitate it out. Pretty much, I'm not going to put words in Tim's mouth or Paul's mouth, but I think we're the collection of people that said not so fast when they were loading up on teams like the Tigers, the AL Central, the Miami Marlins, when guys like Trevor Williams had great numbers, but if you looked into the numbers, he was basically a right-handed Jeff Locke. When Jeff Locke had that all-star season a few years back, everything was put in play. He wasn't striking out anybody. Polanco, everybody who had a brain would have said that his hot start was not for real. So everybody here took their first month and a half with a grain of salt. That's why
I agree.
I disagree with the question in essence. What's the point of no return? But
they were in first place. I mean, from that perspective, there are still people out there, and I listened to a lot nationally, Andrew, who said that they would be in contention for a playoff spot. So there was a faction of people out there who believe that.
Those people are either.
I'm just saying,
no, I know,
why
Bob. I'm not getting mad at you, but I'm just in reaction to them. They're either drinking company punch or they want a good story. They want, well, this team didn't sign a major league free agent, but doggone it, they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. They listened to whatever the crap their music is after their wins, and their chemistry is so great that they're going to win. No one really bought into that. Well, maybe Starkey wrote a column about it, but outside of that.
Let's talk about DJ Vasquez now, and the fact that he's the guy who's putting all that music together. He hasn't been able to do that for a while. So Paul Zeise, this is a concern for the Pirates. If he's not able to close the way he did and his velocity has been down, or if he's injured, what do you do, and who becomes your closer?
Well, I mean, that's a big question. First of all, if there's even a question about his health, even a little bit of a question, if there's anything that is not look right, they've got to shut him down.
Paul, they've had those questions. The guy held onto his forearm like he had just,
right, but that's what I'm saying.
Out on the mound.
So I'm going to assume at some point here this week we might actually have, he goes to the DL. I'll be honest with you, if I was Clint Hurdle, I'd sit in my office with all of the names of the relievers on a dartboard and throw the dart, and whoever I hit, okay, he's my closer tonight, just to see who can do it. Because Right now, none of these guys seem to be very effective, except for, Stephen Brault, some a little bit, I guess, and Glasnow a little bit. I don't know that I want either of those guys to be my closer.
The first dart was going to be Rodriguez one way or another. He hit it, and then it went bad. So I think the next step is Glasnow. And I know that they're very concerned about that because they don't want to mess with something that has finally worked for him. But him working in Pittsburgh is got to be a bigger result than just being a middle reliever. If he works as a closer, great. If he works as a starter, great. Him as a middle reliever, to me, is not him panning out. But, Bob, to your point, yeah, DJ Vasquez, it's like a record scratch whenever he comes on the mound right now. And that is a huge problem for this team because allegedly, one of the things, like Paul said before, that had to go right, this hermetically sealed bubble of everything going right, he was a big part of that at the back end.
Bob would know this. It's a lot easier when you go to, when you're the opening act, you don't have to worry about filling up Heinz Field. And that's what Tyler Glasnow has been so far this year. He's the guy that's coming out 2 or 3 performers before the main singer. And I just don't think right now Glasnow, we've seen how fragile he is. He'd basically cry on the mound.
But not this year. I think he's
but I still think you got to spoon feed the guy. Look, I'm not going to answer your question, Bob, because I don't think there is an answer. Paul summed it up with the way he started to answer his. I go back to the front office on this. Man, how could you not, in the offseason, go out and get somebody who you trusted to be the bridge between your starting pitcher and your closer? George Contos got cut by a 100-loss team last year, and you thought he was going to be a bona fide 8th-inning guy? I mean, to me, this falls at the feet of ownership and management. They gave themselves no parachute. So if Vasquez is hurt, to me, it's on them.
All right. Sean Rodriguez in the lineup. Andrew, I know you're not a fan of this lineup today. Neither was I. But Mercer had been swinging the ball pretty well, Tim, and they have a day off tomorrow. Maybe this was assigned ahead of time, whatever the case. Sean Rodriguez has been awful. Why does he continue to get opportunities?
Oh, I think they're just trying to validate the expense. I think that's what it comes down to.
$6 million almost.
I have no idea why. This is kind of like Nice. When they got Nice, everybody sort of said, well, why are they bothering to bring him on board for the money that they shipped out for Walker? It's kind of the same thing with Sean Rodriguez. Of all the teams to spend money on a relatively fringe component in Sean Rodriguez, I can't believe they did it. And yeah, I think they should stop justifying, especially if he's not fielding the ball well. He's supposed to be one of these guys that fields the ball well at every position. He's not even doing that right now.
I think part of the reason why they did it initially was to placate McCutchen because these two guys are like supposedly best friends. I also think Hurdle has a framed photograph of Sean Rodriguez on his desk. He puts him in the same class as George Brett and other guys he played with. I think Sean Rodriguez, he believes, is a manager in training. And I think it's too copacetic between those two guys. I think the point you made about the money, Tim, is right. When you're paying a guy almost $6 million, it's hard to sit him on the bench and not play him.
Well, but the problem is, again, you have a day off tomorrow. Why are you taking Jordy Mercer?
You're right,
this
Paul.
is one of the things that drives me insane about the Pirates. And then this ridiculous analytics, innings on feet, rest program, all that crap. How about play your best players until you win?
Well, here's another thing on that, Paul. So let me get this straight. Josh Harrison can pinch hit today, but he can't play. He can't.
I would rather them have played Josh Harrison for Mercer and have Frazier play second than play Sean Rodriguez.
All right, we're due for a break here. Pirates will be off tomorrow. Then the Dodgers, without Clayton Kershaw, come to PNC Park on Tuesday. Hey, when an owner puts together a perfect team, they know it's going to be a winner. That must be how Rob Cochran feels about number 1 Cochran Nissan right now, because number 1 Cochran just acquired Pittsburgh East Nissan and West Hills Nissan, giving them 3 local Nissan stores in Pittsburgh's first ever Nissan Super Group. The triple grand opening event is going on right now with 3 times the pricing power, 3 times the inventory. You could check it out at number 1 Cochran Nissan, Monroeville, West Hills, and South Hills. Phil Kessel up next. The number 1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by number 1 Cochran. Go one better. And by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your health.